So when you picture a self-sufficient homestead, what comes to mind? Probably a sprawling farm, right? Acres upon acres of rolling fields, a big red barn, maybe some cows grazing peacefully. It's a beautiful image, but for most of us it feels completely out of reach. What if I told you that you don't need a massive plot of land to be almost completely self-sufficient? What if the key wasn't about having more space, but about being smarter with the space you already have? It turns out that dream of providing for yourself and your family is a lot closer than you think. This right here is a typical suburban lot. It's a quarter of an acre, or about 10,890 square feet. It looks like a normal backyard, but with some clever engineering and a bit of nature hacking, this space can be transformed into a powerhouse of production. We're talking fresh vegetables all year, fruit right off the branch, eggs, honey, and even power for your home. We can design a system where this small plot provides nearly everything you need. It's not magic, it's just really, really smart planning. The secret sauce is a concept called permaculture zoning, which is just a fancy way of saying we're going to put things in the most logical and efficient places. The idea is simple. The things you need to access most often, like your kitchen herbs and salad greens, are kept closest to your house. The things that need less attention, like your main crops or fruit trees, can be a little further away. By designing our quarter acre like a series of concentric circles with our home at the center, we create a super efficient closed-loop system where every single element works together. It's like building an ecosystem from the ground up. So today we're going to break down exactly how to turn this ordinary backyard into an extraordinary self-sufficient paradise. Stick around because this is going to be awesome. All right, first up, the heart of any homestead, the vegetable garden. Now, you might think you need a massive field for this, but check this out. We're dedicating about 2,000 square feet, which sounds like a lot, but it's really just a 40 by 50 foot patch of your yard. And we're not just going to till up the ground, we're going to build a series of raised beds, maybe 6 to 8 of them. Why raised beds? Well, for one, you have total control over the soil quality, which is a huge advantage. Plus, they warm up faster in the spring, drain better, and they're way easier on your back. No more crawling around in the mud. With this setup, we're not just planting once in the spring and calling it a day. We're going to use techniques like succession planting and intercropping. That means as soon as one crop is harvested, another one goes right in its place. We'll plant fast-growing radishes next to slow-growing carrots. We'll have cool weather crops like lettuce and spinach for the spring and fall, and heat-loving tomatoes and peppers for the summer. By using every square inch and planning our seasons, these beds won't just be a garden. They'll be a non-stop year-round food factory pumping out fresh organic produce right outside your kitchen door. It's a complete game changer. Okay, we've got our veggies covered, but what about fruit? A full-blown orchard sounds like something that needs at least an acre by itself, right? Wrong. Welcome to the world of dwarf and semi-dwarf fruit trees. These are the unsung heroes of the small-scale homestead. We're going to allocate about 1,000 square feet, think a 20 by 50 foot area, for our mini orchard. Instead of 1 or 2 giant, hard-to-manage apple trees, we can fit 8 to 10 different dwarf varieties in the same space. We're talking apples, pears, peaches, plums, and cherries. It's like having a whole fruit aisle in your backyard. But we're not just going to plant trees, we're going to maximize every vertical and horizontal inch of this space. Around the base of the trees, we'll plant berry bushes, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. Along the fence line, we can train grapevines or hardy kiwis to climb up, creating a living wall of fruit. This multi-layered planting strategy, called a food forest, mimics a natural woodland ecosystem. The trees provide a canopy, the bushes form a shrub layer, and we can even plant strawberries as a ground cover. The result is a dense, productive, and largely self-maintaining system that provides a steady, diverse supply of fruit from early summer all the way through fall. Now let's talk about the details that take your homestead from just functional to truly gourmet and practical, the herb garden. This doesn't need a ton of space. In fact, a dedicated 200 square feet, maybe a 10 by 20 foot area, is more than enough to meet all your culinary and even some basic medicinal needs. And the best part? We're putting this right outside the kitchen door in what permaculture calls Zone 1. This is prime real estate because you're way more likely to use fresh herbs in your cooking if you can just pop outside and snip them off, even while your pasta water is boiling. No more buying those sad, expensive plastic clamshells of basil from the grocery store. We'll plant culinary staples like basil, rosemary, thyme, oregano, parsley, and chives. But we're also going to think beyond the kitchen. We can include medicinal herbs like chamomile and mint for teas, echinacea to help boost the immune system, and lavender, which not only smells amazing but has calming properties and is great for pollinators. An herb garden is a low-effort, high-reward system. Many herbs are perennials, meaning they come back year after year with minimal fuss. They attract beneficial insects that help pollinate our vegetable garden, and they repel pests. It's a small space that does a massive amount of work for the entire system. So we've got our fresh veggies, fruits and herbs. That's fantastic for nutrition and flavor, but if we're serious about self-sufficiency, we need to talk about calories. We need the fuel that's going to stick to our ribs, the stuff that can be stored and eaten through the winter. This is where our staple crops come in. We're going to dedicate another 2,000 square feet, the same size as our veggie garden, but managed differently, to growing calorie-dense foods. We're talking about the heavy lifters: potatoes, sweet potatoes, corn, winter squash, and dry beans. These are the crops that form the foundation of a food storage plan. The goal here isn't daily harvesting, it's bulk harvesting. We'll plant these crops in larger blocks rather than neat little raised beds. For corn, we can use the Three Sisters method, a brilliant Native American planting technique where corn, beans and squash are grown together. The corn provides a stalk for the beans to climb, the beans fix nitrogen in the soil to fertilize the corn, and the large, sprawling squash leaves shade the ground, preventing weeds and conserving moisture. It's a perfect symbiotic system. At the end of the season, we'll have hundreds of pounds of food that can be stored in a cool, dark place for months, ensuring we have a reliable food source long after the growing season has ended. Okay, to make this whole system run smoothly, we need some infrastructure. You can't just pile all your tools in the corner of the yard and hope for the best. We need small, smart structures that support all of our homesteading activities. This doesn't mean building a giant barn. We're talking about a well-organized garden shed for tools, pots and soil amendments. It's the command center for the garden. But the real MVP of the small-scale homestead is a greenhouse, even a small one. A simple hoop house or a more permanent structure can extend your growing season by months. Imagine starting your tomato seeds in February, regardless of the snow outside, or harvesting fresh salad greens in December. A greenhouse makes that possible. It creates a controlled microclimate, protecting your plants from frost, pests, and harsh weather. We also need to think about shelter for any animals we might bring in, which we'll get to next. A small chicken coop or a well-placed beehive counts as a structure. The key is to integrate these buildings into the landscape. A shed can have a green roof planted with sedums, a greenhouse can have rain barrels attached to its gutters, and a chicken coop can be placed right next to the compost pile to help with processing. Vegetables and fruits are great, but for a truly resilient homestead, we need a source of protein and fat. This is where small livestock comes in. And no, you don't need a pasture full of cows. Let's start with the gateway animal to all homesteading chickens. A small flock of 4 to 6 hens can fit comfortably in a small coop and run, and they'll provide you with a steady supply of the freshest, most delicious eggs you've ever tasted. Plus, they are incredible garden helpers. They'll eat pests, till the soil, and produce nitrogen-rich manure that's pure gold for your compost pile. But we don't have to stop at chickens. What about bees? A single beehive tucked into a quiet corner of the yard takes up very little space but can produce 60 to 100 pounds of honey per year. Not only that, but the bees will be an army of super pollinators, dramatically increasing the yields of your fruit trees and vegetable garden. It's a massive win-win. And if you have the space and the inclination, you could even consider a pair of miniature goats like Nigerian dwarfs. They require a bit more infrastructure, but they can provide a gallon of rich, creamy milk every day, perfect for drinking, making cheese and yogurt. One of the biggest challenges for any gardener or homesteader is water. Municipal water is expensive and often chlorinated, which isn't ideal for building healthy soil biology. So we're going to create our own water management system. The first and easiest step is rainwater harvesting. Think about it. Every time it rains, thousands of gallons of free, clean, unchlorinated water fall on your property. We're going to capture as much of it as we can. We'll install rain barrels at the downspouts of the house, the shed and the greenhouse. A single 1,000 square foot roof can collect over 600 gallons of water from just 1 inch of rainfall. But we can get even smarter. We're going to design the landscape itself to hold onto water. By creating gentle slopes and shallow depressions called swales, we can slow down, spread out and sink rainwater into the ground instead of letting it run off into the storm drain. This recharges the groundwater and keeps our fruit trees hydrated. We can also set up a greywater system. This takes the relatively clean water from your showers, bathroom sinks and washing machine and diverts it to irrigate non-edible plants and fruit trees. It's a simple, low-tech way to reuse a precious resource and drastically reduce your water bill and environmental footprint. We've covered food and water, but the final piece of the self-sufficiency puzzle is energy. Powering our homes is one of our biggest monthly expenses and dependencies. So, how do we bring power production onto our quarter-acre lot? The most obvious and accessible answer for most people is solar power. The technology has gotten so much better and more affordable over the last decade. A residential solar panel system installed on the south-facing roof of your house can generate a significant portion, if not all, of the electricity your family needs. Just imagine watching your electric meter spin backward on a sunny day. But solar panels aren't the only option. We can incorporate other, smaller-scale renewable energy sources. A solar water heater, for example, uses the sun's energy to directly heat your water, which is one of the biggest energy hogs in any home. We could also install a solar-powered attic fan to reduce cooling costs in the summer. And while it's less common for a suburban lot, if your property has a consistent breeze, a small-scale residential wind turbine is also a possibility. By combining these technologies, we can slash our reliance on the grid, save a ton of money over the long term, and create a homestead that is truly resilient and sustainable from the ground up. So, there you have it. We've taken a completely ordinary quarter-acre suburban lot, and with some smart design and a bit of engineering, we've mapped out a plan for a thriving, productive and nearly self-sufficient paradise. We've laid out space for a year-round vegetable garden, a mini orchard, chickens, bees and systems to capture our own water and energy. We've busted the myth that you need a sprawling country estate to live a more self-reliant life. The potential isn't in having more land, it's in seeing the incredible potential that already exists right in your own backyard. This isn't an all-or-nothing proposition. You don't have to do everything all at once. The beauty of this approach is that it's modular. You can start small. This weekend you could build one raised bed. Next month you could install a rain barrel. Maybe next year you get a few chickens. The point is to start. Start observing your space, start making a plan, and start taking those first small steps. Every single step, no matter how small it seems, is a step towards a more resilient, more delicious, and more connected way of life. The power to transform your life and your land is literally in your hands. It's about being a creator, an engineer, and a partner with nature. So I encourage you, look at your yard, whether it's a quarter acre, a tiny city plot, or even just a balcony, with new eyes. See the potential, start dreaming, start planning, and start building your own little slice of paradise. You have everything you need to begin. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to see what you create.